The night sky above the research facility glowed with unusual light patterns as Kate Morgan adjusted her radio telescope. The lone scientist had spent 5 years searching for signals from beyond Earth, working in isolation at this remote mountain observatory. Her colleagues at the university had long dismissed her theories about intelligent life, but Kate remained determined. Tonight something changed. The equipment picked up a pattern unlike anything Kate had recorded before. It wasn't random, noise, or typical stellar radiation, but organized pulses that repeated in complex sequences. Kate checked her instruments twice, making sure this wasn't a malfunction. Her heart raced as she began recording the signal. Kate worked through the night, analyzing the data. The signal contained mathematical patterns too precise to be natural phenomena. As dawn broke, she realized with growing excitement that she had discovered proof of intelligent life beyond Earth. But the signal held something, else something impossible. Embedded within the mathematical sequences were emotional impressions, feelings of desperation and hope that somehow transferred directly to her mind. Over the following weeks, Kate dedicated every waking moment to studying the signal. She neglected sleep, barely ate, and ignored calls from the university dean, questioning her absence from faculty meetings. The signal grew stronger each night, as if whoever sent it knew she was listening. Kate developed a rudimentary response, using the same mathematical base patterns. 3 months after first contact, Kate received coordinates. The alien message contained stellar navigation points and timeframes. She calculated the location somewhere in deep space relatively close to our solar system by cosmic standards. The message seemed clear. They wanted to meet her. The rational part of her mind warned against responding, but something deeper compelled her to continue. Kate took leave from the university, cashed in her savings, and drove to a secluded cabin in the mountains. There she built a stronger transmitter and sent her response agreeing to the meeting. She included her own DNA sequence as requested, though she questioned the wisdom of sharing such information. The aliens had explained through mathematical concepts that they needed to understand human biology. On a cold winter night, Kate stood in a small clearing watching the stars. A brilliant light appeared, growing larger as it descended silently through the atmosphere. Kate felt no fear, only a strange sense of destiny. The craft landed gently before her, a sleek vessel with no visible engines or windows. A doorway appeared in its smooth surface, revealing a soft blue glow from within. Kate stepped aboard without hesitation. The door sealed behind her, and she found herself in a chamber filled with misty light. She felt movement as the ship lifted off, but saw no crew or controls. After several minutes, another doorway opened, revealing the ship's occupants. Kate gasped at the sight of them. Tall, elegant beings with shimmering blue skin and 4 arms stood watching her. Their faces held a delicate beauty, with large silver eyes that seemed to look through her rather than at her. Kate counted 7 of them, all female in appearance, wearing fitted garments that flowed like liquid metal. The tallest stepped forward, extending her upper arms in what appeared to be a greeting gesture. "My name is Ilara," the alien spoke. Though her mouth barely moved, Kate heard the words inside her mind. "We are the Viridians. We have searched many star systems for a species like yours. We thank you for answering our call." Kate found herself able to respond mentally, discovering that concentrating on words projected her thoughts to them. "Why did you seek humans specifically?" she asked. The one called Ilara gestured toward a viewing portal that opened in the wall, showing Earth growing smaller as they ascended. "Your species possesses something unique among sentient beings," she explained. "Your biological composition contains elements we desperately need to save our people." Another Viridian moved forward. This one had markings around her eyes that reminded Kate of freckles. "I am Talia, ship scientist," she introduced. "We face extinction. Our homeworld suffers under invasion by parasitic beings called the Nexus. They bond with host bodies and slowly drain life energy." Kate listened as they explained their situation. The Nexus had spread through 3 star systems, already enslaving multiple species. The Viridians had fought back but were overwhelmed. Their only hope lay in a compound found naturally in human biology, an enzyme that could break the parasitic bond. They needed someone who understood human biochemistry to help develop a treatment. We searched for intelligent life with compatible biology, Ilara explained. Our scan showed human physiology contains the key elements. We need your knowledge to save not only our species, but many others. Under Nexus control, Kate considered their request. It meant leaving Earth for an unknown period, possibly years. She thought about her lonely apartment, her few friends, her stalled career searching for extraterrestrial life. The irony wasn't lost on her that she had finally found proof but might never be able to share it with humanity. How long would I be gone, she asked. Talia stepped closer. Her silver eyes reflected starlight. Time moves differently across space. She answered, what might be 2 cycles for us could be several Earth years. We cannot promise when you might return. Kate looked around at the advanced ship, at the elegant aliens who had crossed vast distances to find her. She thought about the significance of their request. These beings had technology far beyond human capability, yet they needed her help. Her decision would impact entire civilizations. I will help you, Kate said firmly, feeling a strange sense that she had been preparing for this moment her entire life. Ilara bowed slightly, all 4 arms crossing in what appeared to be a gesture of respect. We are grateful. The journey to our hidden colony will take time. During this period, Talia will help you understand our biology and begin preliminary work as the ship accelerated beyond Earth orbit. Kate watched her home planet shrink to a small blue dot. Her old life fell away as she embarked on the greatest scientific challenge imaginable, helping an alien species develop a cure that could save multiple civilizations from parasitic enslavement. She felt both terrified and exhilarated, knowing that whatever happened, she had found her purpose among the stars. The Viridian women moved around her with graceful precision, their 4 arms working in harmony, operating complex systems Kate would need to learn their language, their biology, their technology. The task seemed overwhelming, but she felt determined. Somewhere deep in space, these beings had established a hidden colony of survivors, and now they were taking her there. Kate Morgan, ordinary human scientist, had become humanity's first ambassador to an interstellar civilization. Weeks passed as Kate worked alongside the Viridian scientists, testing theories and developing models. The colony maintained strict security protocols, knowing discovery by the Nexus would mean extinction. Supply ships arrived occasionally, bringing resources from other hidden settlements and news of Nexus expansion. The parasites had captured another system, forcing thousands more refugees to flee. Kate established a daily routine, waking early to analyze overnight test results, working through the day with Talia and the research team, then spending evenings in the community gardens. She befriended many Viridians, learning to communicate telepathically with practice, though she never achieved the fluency they shared among themselves. She found their presence comforting, their gentle emotions washing over her like soft music. One morning, Kate arrived at the laboratory earlier than usual. She had dreamed of a molecular structure and wanted to test it before the idea faded. She mixed compounds from human blood samples with synthetic materials developed by Viridian biochemists. The resulting solution glowed faintly with bluish light. Kate ran it through analysis, finding a promising enzyme configuration. When Talia arrived, Kate showed her the results. The Viridian scientist examined the data, her silver eyes widening. This compound might disrupt the neural pathway the parasites use, she said. Her voice carried unusual excitement. This is the closest match we've seen. They spent the day refining the formula, testing it against samples of infected tissue. By evening, they had developed a prototype enzyme that showed promising results in simulation. Kate felt cautiously optimistic, but knew laboratory success might not translate to real-world effectiveness. They needed to test it on actual Nexus parasites. Kate presented their findings to the Colony Council. Ilara and 6 other senior Viridians listened as she explained the enzyme treatment. She used simple terms, avoiding technical language. Though brilliant in their own fields, many Viridians struggled with human scientific concepts, just as Kate still found aspects of their technology mysterious. We need to test this on actual infected hosts, Kate explained. Otherwise, we cannot know if it will work. The council members exchanged troubled looks. Several of our people are held at a mining facility. 3 light days from here, Ilara finally said. We receive occasional messages through secure channels. Hundreds suffer. Under Nexus control, Kate proposed a mission. A small team would travel to the mining facility carrying the enzyme solution. They would administer it to infected hosts and monitor results. The mission carried extreme risk, but without field testing. They could not proceed. I will go, Kate insisted when several council members objected. The enzyme needs precise calibration. Based on results, I need to be there. After lengthy debate, the council approved a small stealth vessel would carry Kate, Talia, and 3 Viridian security specialists to the mining facility. They would pose as supply transporters using forged credentials to gain access. Once inside, they would secretly administer the enzyme to infected hosts and document results the eve. Before departure, Kate stood in the bioluminescent garden watching the artificial stars that illuminated their underground home. Talia found her there, standing silently beside her for several minutes before speaking. I never believed we would find hope again, the Viridian admitted. Her lower arms gestured toward the colony while her upper arms reached toward Kate. You have given us a future. Kate smiled, though worry gnawed at her. If we succeed, she said, this is just the beginning. The Nexus still controls vast territories. We will need to distribute the cure throughout infected systems. I believe humans call it one step at a time, Talia replied. Her silver eyes reflected the garden lights. We begin with saving those we can reach. The rest will follow. The stealth vessel departed at dawn, navigating carefully through the asteroid field before accelerating to light speed. The ship used technology Kate had never seen before, bending light around its hull to remain virtually invisible to sensors. Its interior held minimal comforts, just enough space for the 5-person crew and their equipment. During the 3-day journey, Kate and Talia refined the enzyme solution, creating multiple variations to account for different stages of infection. The security specialists Miravela and Sora practiced combat techniques in the small cargo area. Their forearms moved with lethal precision as they trained with energy weapons. Kate watched in fascination as they demonstrated fighting techniques, developed specifically against Nexus-controlled hosts. We aim to disable, not kill. Mira explained. Hosts remain victims even when controlled by parasites. If your enzyme works, we can free them. The mining facility orbited a barren moon, rich in rare minerals. The Nexus had captured it 2 years earlier, forcing the Viridian workers to continue operations under parasitic control. The facility appeared as a series of interconnected domes and processing centers with transport vessels docked along its perimeter. Our intelligence suggests 200 workers remain alive. Vela briefed them as they approached. All are infected with Nexus parasites, most in mid-stage bonding. The parasites maintain enough health in their hosts to continue work, while feeding on their life energy. The stealth vessel docked at a secondary port using forged authorization codes. Kate and the Viridians disguised themselves as supply transporters, wearing environment suits with tinted visors that concealed their faces. They carried the enzyme solution hidden in routine medical supply containers. Kate felt her heart pounding as they passed through the airlock into the facility. Entering the main corridor, they encountered their first infected Viridians. 2 workers moved stiffly past them carrying mineral samples. Their skin had turned grayish-blue and translucent tendrils visibly wrapped around their necks, disappearing under their work garments. Most disturbing were their eyes, once silver, now clouded. With yellowish film, Kate fought back horror, knowing that conscious Viridians remained trapped within those bodies. Talia led them to the medical dispensary. A single infected doctor moved mechanically between supply shelves. Kate noticed the advanced stage of parasitic bonding. The tendrils had spread visibly across the doctor's face, pulsing with sickly light. The doctor registered their presence but accepted their forged credentials without question. The Nexus controlling him focused only on assigned tasks. The team worked quickly, replacing standard nutrient injections with modified versions containing the enzyme. Infected Viridians received regular supplements to maintain strength for work. These injections would now carry the potential cure. The team also prepared direct injection devices for emergency use. Kate calibrated the final enzyme mixtures, while the security specialists kept watch as they finished replacing the last supplies. An alarm sounded through the facility. A mechanical voice announced, "Unauthorized vessel detected. All units report to security checkpoint." Kate and the team exchanged worried glances. Had they been discovered? "We must move to observation position," Sora urged. "We need to witness the results when workers receive their scheduled injections." They relocated to a maintenance tunnel overlooking the main work area. From this vantage point, they could monitor dozens of infected workers. When the shift change sounded, workers moved to nutrition stations receiving their scheduled supplements. Kate held her breath as the first group injected themselves with the modified solution. Nothing happened immediately. The workers returned to their tasks, moving with the same mechanical precision. Kate felt disappointment. Crushing her hopes had the enzyme failed, but Talia gripped her arm with both right hands. "Wait," she whispered. "Biological changes take time." 20 minutes later, the first worker collapsed. A supervisor approached the fallen Viridian, but then another worker fell and another. Kate watched in astonishment as yellowish fluid began seeping from the worker's skin. The parasitic tendrils visibly writhed, then darkened, losing their glow. The infected Viridians convulsed briefly, then lay still. "Have we killed them?" Kate whispered in horror. Talia scanned them with a medical device. "No," she replied with growing excitement. "Their life signs stabilize. The parasites die, but the hosts live." Throughout the facility, infected Viridians collapsed as the enzyme spread through their systems. Security drones activated, moving toward the disturbance. The team watched as parasites detached from their hosts, withering into dried husks. The freed Viridians lay unconscious but alive, their silver eyes cleared of yellow film. "We did it," Kate breathed. The Enzyme Works facility systems registered the mass collapse, activating emergency protocols. The team knew Nexus reinforcements would arrive soon. They needed to evacuate the freed Viridians before then. Kate administered revival stimulants to the closest workers while explaining what had happened. The liberated Viridians quickly grasped the situation, mobilizing to help others. Within hours, 200 freed Viridians prepared for evacuation. They commandeered transport vessels from the facility, while Kate and her team shared the enzyme formula. The freed workers included medical personnel who could reproduce the treatment. They would spread to other facilities carrying both the cure and hope as alarms. Blared, announcing approaching Nexus ships. Kate and her team returned to their vessel. "We have succeeded beyond our expectations," Talia said as they broke away from the facility. "The cure works perfectly and spreads faster than we anticipated." Life aboard the Viridian vessel proved both fascinating and challenging for Kate. The ship itself seemed almost alive, with surfaces that responded to touch and corridors that rearranged themselves to optimize movement. Her quarters featured a sleeping platform that adjusted to her body contours and walls that could become transparent, showing the starscape outside or opaque for privacy. Kate quickly discovered that the Viridians possessed mild telepathic abilities. They could share emotions and simple images directly mind to mind, but struggled with complex abstract concepts. This explained how they had embedded feelings into the mathematical signal they sent to Earth. It also revealed why they needed human help. Humans possessed analytical minds that worked differently from theirs. Talia became Kate's primary teacher and research partner. The freckled Viridian showed remarkable patience explaining their biology and technology. Kate learned that Viridian females lived much longer than males, typically surviving 200 Earth years. Their forearms evolved for complex tasks requiring precision, and their heightened senses allowed them to detect energy patterns invisible to humans. Kate spent hours each day in the ship laboratory, studying Viridian cellular samples and comparing them with her own. Their genetic structure used similar base pairs to human DNA, but arranged in more complex patterns. Their blood contained copper rather than iron, giving it a greenish tint, and their neural pathways formed intricate webs rather than the more linear human nervous system. Night, Kate dreamed of strange landscapes, crystal cities, and blue skies filled with two suns. She would wake, convinced these dreams came from somewhere, outside herself, perhaps from Talia, whose quarters adjoined her own. Kate began to understand that during sleep, Her mind became more receptive to Viridian telepathic sharing. One night, Kate woke suddenly sensing distress throughout the ship. She found the corridors filled with rushing crew members and followed them to the command center. There, Alara stood before a large display showing another vessel under attack. "We received a distress signal from a sister ship," Alara explained when she noticed Kate. "The Nexus found one of our supply vessels. They attack now." Kate watched in horror as parasitic creatures swarmed the other ship. They resembled translucent jellyfish with long tendrils that pulsed with sickly yellow light. The beings attached themselves to Viridian crew members who collapsed in agony as the parasites began merging with their bodies. "Those poor souls are already lost," Alara said sadly. "Once the Nexus bond with a host, it cannot be broken. The host remains conscious but loses control of their body. The parasite feeds on life energy until nothing remains, typically over several painful years." Kate felt the crew telepathic distress filling the ship like a physical presence. She experienced their fear, and something else, their hope directed toward her. She realized how much they had invested in finding her, how desperately they needed her to succeed. "How much longer until we reach your colony?" Kate asked. 3 more days at current speed," Talia answered. "Then we must travel by smaller vessel to the hidden location. Our main colonies exist inside hollowed asteroids carefully concealed from Nexus sensors." The following days, Kate increased her research pace, working alongside Talia to understand the parasitic bond. After watching the attack, she felt new urgency. The Nexus represented a threat unlike anything humanity had encountered, a species that literally consumed sentient beings from within while keeping them conscious. Kate learned that the Nexus had evolved on a distant world, beginning as simple organisms that bonded with local wildlife. As their planet faced environmental collapse, they developed intelligence and space travel, spreading to nearby worlds and evolving into more complex parasites. They specifically targeted sentient species whose complex nervous systems provided richer energy. "Why do you think human enzymes might help?" Kate asked Talia during one research session. Talia displayed a molecular model on the lab screen. "Human immune systems produce unique compounds that attack foreign bodies," she explained. "Our scientists discovered fragments of human genetic material in ancient databases. Your species produces specific enzymes that might disrupt the neural bond between parasite and host. Our problem is we cannot synthesize these compounds. We need someone who understands both biologies to develop a treatment." Kate nodded, understanding their desperation. Humans might seem primitive compared to the spacefaring Viridians, but human biology contained something unique, something that evolved on Earth and nowhere else. It gave her a strange sense of pride knowing that her species might hold the key to defeating the Nexus. As they approached the hidden colony, Talia brought Kate to an observation chamber. The ship slowed, entering an asteroid field so dense it seemed impossible to navigate safely. Kate watched in amazement as Alara guided the vessel through narrow gaps between massive rocks, some spinning rapidly, others drifting in clusters. The largest asteroid appeared unremarkable from outside, nearly 2 kilometers across with a cratered surface like countless others. But as they approached, a section of the surface shimmered, revealing a hidden entrance. The ship slipped inside and Kate gasped at the sight before her. Inside the hollow asteroid existed an entire world. Bioluminescent plants grew in terraced gardens, providing food and oxygen. Crystal structures rose from the asteroid floor, serving as dwellings and community spaces. Artificial gravity generators created a comfortable environment, and carefully placed light emitters simulated daylight cycles. Kate counted hundreds of Viridians moving through this hidden sanctuary. "Welcome to Haven," Alara said, as they disembarked, our largest remaining colony. Kate learned that the Viridian population had decreased drastically under Nexus attacks. Their original homeworld now served as a Nexus breeding ground, with billions of captured Viridians used as hosts. The survivors scattered across dozens of hidden colonies like this one, connected through secure communication channels and occasional supply ships. The remaining Viridians numbered less than 5,000, mostly females and children, with very few males. Their civilization once spanned multiple star systems with advanced technology and peaceful relations with neighboring species. Now they existed as refugees fighting extinction. Kate received quarters in a crystal dwelling near the Central Research Facility. The Viridian children watched her with curiosity, whispering among themselves about the strange pinkish alien who might save them. Kate felt the weight of their expectations, but also their kindness. They brought her sweet fruits and taught her their songs, treating her like a respected elder, rather than an outsider. Working in the colony laboratory provided advantages over the ship. Kate now had access to more advanced equipment and historical data. She studied records of early Nexus infections and worked with volunteer medical staff to understand the parasitic bond. She compared samples of affected Viridian tissue with her own blood, searching for the key compounds that might disrupt the neural connection each night. Exhausted from research, Kate would sit in the bioluminescent gardens watching Viridian families. Talia often joined her, explaining their customs and history. Kate learned about their art, their music, their beliefs. She came to understand that, despite physical differences, Viridians shared many human values. They cherished family-honored knowledge and believed in sacrificing for the greater good. These people deserved to survive. Kate thought they had built a remarkable civilization only to face extinction from parasites that used sentience itself as food. Looking at the Viridian children playing nearby, Kate made a silent promise. She would find a cure no matter how long it took. She would give these people a future. The joint fleet assembled in Earth's orbit presented an impressive sight. 40 vessels of varying sizes formed a defensive formation around the flagship horizon, a massive carrier designed through human-Viridian collaboration. The ship incorporated the best elements of both technologies, human durability and Viridian precision. The crew reflected this same integration with specialists from both species working side by side. Kate supervised final preparations for the environmental treatment. Canisters. The modified enzyme compound had been mass-produced in orbital facilities, each batch carefully tested to ensure effectiveness. Once released on the Nexus breeding world, the compound would saturate the atmosphere, making the environment hostile to parasite development for at least 5 years. During this period, joint forces would liberate remaining host populations and establish defensive perimeters. Aboard the Horizon, Kate shared command center duties with Talia and Human Admiral Diane Foster. The three women had developed a close working relationship during months of planning, each bringing different perspectives to strategic decisions. Admiral Foster contributed military experience. Talia provided knowledge of Viridian space, and Kate ensured scientific accuracy in all operations. The fleet departed with minimal ceremony, jumping to light speed as soon as clearing the solar system. Kate watched familiar constellations blur and shift, remembering her first journey aboard a Viridian vessel. Now she traveled with an armada united in purpose against a common enemy. The hope she had kindled in a single laboratory had grown into an interspecies alliance. During the 3-week journey to Nexus, space crew members participated in integration exercises. Learning to coordinate between species proved essential for combat readiness. Human engineers studied Viridian technology, while Viridian tacticians adapted to human military protocols. Kate observed these interactions with satisfaction. Despite occasional misunderstandings, cultural bridges strengthened daily. Admiral Foster called Kate to her quarters midway through the journey. The Admiral studied star charts when Kate arrived, her expression serious. The Nexus have increased activity along these approach vectors, she explained, pointing to glowing pathways. They know something approaches, though. Our stealth technology should prevent specific detection. Our intelligence suggests the parasites sense disturbances. In host networks, Kate replied. When we liberated facilities, we disrupted their hive mind communication. The missing signals created suspicion. Foster nodded. We should prepare for resistance even before reaching the breeding world. How confident are you in the environmental treatment? Very confident, Kate answered, though within acceptable parameters for biological agents. 93% effectiveness in simulation. The compound should render the atmosphere toxic to Nexus reproduction within hours of deployment. Host liberation can proceed immediately afterward. The Admiral studied Kate with newfound respect. When you disappeared from that mountain observatory last year, who could have imagined this outcome, she mused. One scientist changed the course of two civilizations. Kate felt uncomfortable with such characterization. I simply recognized the significance of the signal, she replied. Anyone might have done the same. Foster smiled doubtfully. You left everything behind to help an unknown species. You developed a cure when their own scientists could not. You convinced Earth governments to form an unprecedented alliance. Your actions were exceptional. Dr. Morgan. Never minimize that. As they approached Nexus territory, the fleet engaged. Stealth protocols, specialized shielding developed from Viridian technology, concealed their energy signatures from detection. The vessels maintained communication through quantum-entangled systems undetectable by conventional scanning. Kate joined the command team for final briefing. Admiral Foster addressed the assembled officers. Reconnaissance shows heavy Nexus activity at these defensive positions. She indicated holographic markers surrounding the breeding world. We face approximately 60 vessels of various classes primarily controlled by infected hosts with Nexus supervisors aboard. Our primary objective remains deploying the environmental treatment to the planet's surface. Secondary objectives include liberating infected vessels, when possible, and establishing a defensive perimeter. The strategy prioritized minimum casualties among hosts. The Alliance sought to cure, not destroy, victims of parasitic control. This complicated tactical planning, significantly requiring precision, targeting of propulsion and weapon systems rather than destructive force. Specialized teams would board disabled vessels, administering the enzyme cure to infected crews. The fleet emerged from stealth at the outer boundary of the breeding system, immediately triggering Nexus defense protocols. Enemy vessels moved to intercept, forming a blockade around the central planet. Kate monitored communication channels as Alliance captains acknowledged final commands. The flagship Horizon maintained position at Fleet Center, protected by faster escort vessels. Admiral Foster gave the command to engage. The first wave of Alliance ships accelerated toward Nexus defenders, targeting propulsion systems with precision weapons. Nexus vessels responded with energy bombardment, creating chaotic patterns that human tacticians found difficult to predict. Kate watched tactical displays from the science station, recognizing the randomness as characteristic of Nexus strategy. The parasites operated as collective consciousness, lacking individual initiative but compensating with unpredictable movements. The fleet had trained for this, adapting formation constantly to counter Nexus maneuvers. The first boarding teams deployed successfully, disabling 3 Nexus vessels and administering the enzyme cure to infected crews. Kate received reports of successful host liberation, providing crucial morale boost to Alliance forces. The battle expanded across the system as Nexus reinforcements arrived. From nearby outposts, Talia coordinated deployment of the environmental canisters, preparing launch vehicles for planetary approach. The treatment required precise atmospheric insertion at specific coordinates to ensure global dispersal. Kate verified final calculations, making minute adjustments based on updated planetary scans. A sudden energy surge registered on sensors. Nexus defenders had activated a previously unknown weapon. The energy pulse disrupted Alliance shields, creating vulnerability. Kate analyzed incoming data, recognizing a pattern from research provided by liberated Viridian scientists. They target shield harmonics, she reported to Admiral Foster. The pulse matches frequencies described in Lyra's intelligence reports. I can recalibrate. Our defensive grid, working with Talia, Kate implemented emergency modifications to Alliance shield systems. The adjustments provided temporary protection, but Nexus vessels pressed their advantage, concentrating fire on vulnerable ships. 3 Alliance vessels suffered significant damage before completing recalibration. Admiral Foster ordered tactical retreat, reorganizing the fleet into defensive formation. The setback threatened mission objectives, requiring revised approach. The command team gathered for emergency consultation. We cannot penetrate their defensive line with conventional tactics, Foster acknowledged. The Nexus adapt too quickly. Kate studied the tactical display, noting energy distribution patterns among Nexus vessels. An idea formed, based on her understanding of parasitic biology. The Nexus operate as networked consciousness, she said. Their ships communicate constantly, sharing tactical data. This creates dependency. Each vessel functions as extension of collective mind rather than independent unit. Talia grasped the implication immediately. If we disrupt their communication network, she suggested they lose coordination. Advantage precisely. Kate confirmed. Examining sensor data, she identified communication nodes on Nexus vessels. Target these relay structures she indicated on the display. Disable their network first, then focus on propulsion systems. Foster implemented the strategy immediately. Alliance vessels concentrated fire on communication arrays, disabling network connections between Nexus ships. The effect became apparent within minutes. Enemy vessels lost formation. Cohesion, their movements becoming erratic and uncoordinated. The collective advantage dissolved into individual units operating without unified purpose. The Alliance pressed forward, penetrating defensive lines. The horizon advanced toward the breeding world, protected by escort vessels. Kate monitored deployment systems as they entered optimal range for the environmental treatment Talia supervised. Final preparations, dispatch teams standing ready at launch controls. Nexus commanders recognized the threat, concentrating remaining forces around the breeding planet. Their defensive formation tightened, creating significant obstacle to deployment. Objectives: Admiral Foster ordered diversionary tactics, drawing enemy attention to peripheral targets, while the horizon maintained direct approach. The flagship sustained heavy fire shields, weakening under concentrated assault damage. Reports flooding command channels. Foster maintained course, executing evasive maneuvers while protecting critical deployment systems. Kate felt the ship shudder as direct hits breached outer compartments. Emergency containment activated, sealing damaged sections were within deployment range. Kate announced, checking final coordinates. The launch window opens in 60 seconds. Talia directed her teams to final positions. Canister pressure optimal, she reported. Dispersal pattern program targeting atmospheric currents for maximum coverage. News of the successful cure spread rapidly through hidden Viridian networks. Freed workers from the mining facility established contact with other colonies, sharing the enzyme formula. The Viridian resistance movement grew stronger as more captives gained freedom. Each liberated facility provided resources and personnel for the next mission. Kate became known among the Viridians as the Lightbringer, a title that embarrassed her, but reflected their gratitude. The Nexus leaders soon discovered the cure. Their hive-mind consciousness recognized the threat and responded with brutal efficiency. They increased security at remaining facilities and accelerated life extraction from existing hosts, hoping to harvest maximum energy before losing more resources. They dispatched hunter ships to search for hidden Viridian colonies. Kate, Talia, and their team narrowly escaped detection several times as they continued distributing the cure to outlying facilities. During one mission, they rescued a group of Viridian scientists who had been forced to develop new technology for the Nexus. Among them was Lyra, a brilliant engineer who had secretly sabotaged Nexus projects while in captivity. Lyra joined their research team, bringing valuable knowledge of Nexus biology. She had observed the parasites closely during her captivity, learning about their reproductive cycle and hierarchical structure. Most importantly, she knew the location of the primary Nexus breeding world, the source of new parasites. We cannot simply cure existing hosts, Kate realized as they reviewed Lyra's information. We must strike at their source, prevent new parasites from being created. The team developed a modified version of the enzyme that could be released as an airborne compound. It would saturate an environment, making it hostile to parasite development. Testing showed it rendered areas uninhabitable to Nexus organisms for several lunar cycles without harming other life forms. They could potentially sterilize the breeding world, halting parasite production. Such a mission would require resources beyond what the hidden colonies could provide. They needed a larger vessel, specialized equipment, and more personnel. Kate proposed a bold plan. They would return to Earth, seek human assistance, and forge an alliance between species. Earth governments would surely recognize the Nexus as a threat to all sentient life. With combined human and Viridian technology, they could mount a campaign to eradicate the parasites completely, The Colony Council debated Kate's proposal for days. Some feared exposing their existence to humanity. Others worried humans might prove hostile or attempt to steal Viridian technology. But Alara supported the plan, arguing that isolation had failed to protect them. The Nexus would eventually discover Earth regardless. Better to warn humans and gain allies than leave them vulnerable. Kate promised that humans would recognize the common threat. Despite our flaws, she told, the Council humans unite against shared dangers. We have fought each other throughout our history, but we also collaborate when necessary. Your technology combined with our resources could defeat the Nexus permanently. The Council finally approved. A diplomatic mission. Kate, Talia, Ilara, and a small team would travel to Earth on a Viridian vessel. Kate would make initial contact with human authorities and arrange formal meetings. The remaining Viridians would continue distributing the enzyme, cure throughout affected systems, buying time until a permanent solution could be implemented. As they prepared for departure, Kate felt both excitement and anxiety. She had spent nearly a year among the Viridians, longer in their time measurement system. Her life on Earth seemed distant now, like a half-remembered dream. She wondered how much had changed during her absence, how her disappearance had been explained. Would her colleagues believe her story, or dismiss it as delusion? The journey to Earth took several weeks. Even with advanced Viridian propulsion technology, interstellar distances remained vast. Kate used the time to prepare presentation materials and diplomatic protocols. She recorded detailed explanations of the Nexus threat, including visual evidence from liberated facilities. She compiled research data on the enzyme cure and projections, showing the parasite's eventual path toward Earth as they entered the solar system. Kate marveled at seeing her home from this perspective. The blue planet grew larger in the viewing portal, surrounded by artificial satellites and space debris. Kate directed them to a remote area in the southwestern United States desert, where they could land with minimal detection. A message to select scientific authorities would bring representatives without causing widespread panic. The ship touched down at the specified coordinates, raising a cloud of dust in the pre-dawn light. Kate emerged first, breathing Earth air for the first time in over a year. The familiar gravity and atmospheric pressure felt strange after so long in Viridian environments. She walked several paces from the ship, then activated an emergency scientific broadcast frequency, using equipment prepared for this purpose. Her message was simple, clear, and directed to multiple scientific authorities, including her former university. This is Dr. Kate Morgan speaking. I have returned from contact with an extraterrestrial species called the Viridians. They come in peace-seeking alliance against a common threat. I request immediate contact with appropriate authorities. Scientific verification protocols attached. Within hours, vehicles approached the landing site. Military helicopters circled overhead, while scientific teams established a perimeter. Kate waited patiently as initial contact protocols unfolded. She submitted to identity verification and preliminary medical screening, proving she was indeed the missing scientist. Kate Morgan, not some imposter. Familiar face appeared among the gathered officials. Dr. Samantha Wright, Kate's former research partner, approached with obvious shock. Sam, Kate called, embracing her colleague. You got my message. I never gave up looking for you, Samantha replied. When you disappeared. Last year I continued monitoring the signal patterns. We detected your return to the system yesterday. She glanced nervously at the Viridian ship. No one believed my theories that you had made contact. Kate introduced Talia and Ilara, who emerged cautiously from their vessel. The assembled humans gasped at the sight of the tall, blue-skinned, four-armed aliens. Initial fear gave way to scientific curiosity as Kate explained their peaceful intentions. The Viridians projected calming telepathic impressions, helping ease tensions. Over the following days, a secure facility was established for diplomatic discussions. Military leaders, scientific experts, and government officials gathered to hear Kate's presentation. She explained the Nexus threat, showing evidence of parasitic bonding and the devastating effects on host species. She demonstrated the enzyme cure and outlined the proposal for Alliance Earth governments, responded with predictable mixture of fear, skepticism, and strategic interest. Some saw opportunity in Viridian technology, Others focused on the defensive implications of the Nexus threat. Debates raged in closed sessions about appropriate responses. But as scientific verification confirmed Kate's claims, a consensus emerged. The Nexus represented an existential threat that required united action. Kate watched with pride as human ingenuity engaged with the problem. Earth laboratories began mass-producing the enzyme cure, modifying it for efficiency. Teams of scientists worked, alongside Viridian experts developing delivery systems and protective measures. Defense agencies coordinated security protocols, while diplomatic channels established formal alliance terms. The United Nations convened a special session recognizing the Viridians as an allied species and authorizing joint operations against the Nexus threat. Kate addressed the assembly with Ilara beside her. The human scientist and the alien leader standing together symbolized the unprecedented cooperation between species. 1 year after their return to Earth, Kate stood with Talia watching a massive vessel under construction in orbit. The combined knowledge of both species had accelerated technology development beyond anything Kate imagined possible. Human manufacturing capacity paired with Viridian design created ships, weapons, and defense systems specifically engineered to combat the Nexus. The initial refugee group had expanded as more Viridians arrived, seeking safety and offering assistance. Earth welcomed them, establishing special communities where they could live comfortably in adjusted environments. Human and Viridian children played together in these settlements, learning each other's languages and customs. Kate particularly enjoyed visiting these integrated communities, witnessing the friendship between species. Human adaptability and Viridian wisdom complemented each other, creating harmonious relationships. Despite physical differences, Kate remembered Talia's words from their first meeting. Humans possess something unique, she had said. At the time, Kate thought she meant only the enzyme, but now understood it included human resilience, creativity, and capacity for cooperation. Preparations for the counteroffensive against the Nexus continued at rapid pace. The joint fleet would soon depart, targeting the parasite breeding world. Kate would accompany the mission as chief science officer alongside Talia. Together, they had refined the environmental treatment that would render the planet inhospitable to parasite reproduction. The night before launch, Kate stood on the observation deck of the orbital station. Earth glowed blue and green below, while stars stretched infinitely above. Talia joined her, their shoulders touching lightly in comfortable silence after so many shared experiences.